Hi, friends, folks. So, one last thing. So, you know how we always have been told this idealized picture of First Nations people? They never owned anything. They never, when they were signing contracts and going into agreements to to sell land to America, they never meant to sell it because they never believed in ownership. So we've been told that do you know what I mean? Like in history, all these treaties, yes, that America has broken. America has done bad things. However, the irony to me is now Native people are like, give us back our land, or at least that's what we're hearing. And the thing is, if they never believed in land ownership, if the land belonged to itself, if the land belonged to Mother Earth and that nobody got to own the land, then why is it now they're appropriating Western mentality of ownership and then they're expecting to reap the Western reward of this Western mindset? So it's like a total contradiction, and of course, that's this Marxist, I guess, rhetoric that everything's based on lies and just manipulation. And it's not if what we've been told about the Native American belief system about non-ownership is true, then that has to be consistent. They didn't own the land then because they didn't believe they owned the land then, and they don't own the land now. And also, getting back to Joel Patrick's video just recently about when there's a war, it's a war. It's an equal meeting of power, and whoever wins that war wins the spoils. And that is what happened when the Europeans came to the United States. If history is to be believed, and who knows, maybe history is a lie, but if history is accurate, the Europeans came, they defeated the original peoples, and as a result, they get the spoils of the war. Now, I'm sure the Marxists will say, well, that's not fair. So when the native peoples, when the Cheyenne were fighting the Blackfeet or whatever, I mean, I don't know what battles existed between the native peoples, but when they had battles between each other, so which native person gets to own the land then? Like if the Marxists are saying, oh, well, it just belongs to the native people. Well, which native people? Because I'm sure the Tlingit in Alaska would like to own all of the United States, or maybe the Apache would like to own all the United States, and maybe the Apache have more right than the Tlingit, right? But so who's going to decide that? So and if somebody does have more of a right to the land, well, then does that right to the land actually apply to the winner of this latest iteration of who's here? So if the Europeans defeated the First Nations people, they get the land. And it is clear to me, in my observation, that the Native people have been defeated. They are defeated. They are. They have. I mean, they've definitely been targeted. And the thing is, though, white people have been targeted. Americans have been targeted by their government as well. And if we're going to compare the cultures that have been able to sustain some sanity, sustain some civilization regarding the targeting by Satan, because Satan is who's behind all the targeting. I would say Caucasians have done fairly well, have maintained somewhat of their sanity fairly well. And I would actually say Asians are doing much better. Actually, I would say Asians, China and East Indian, I would say they probably are handling the psychological ops targeting better. And I'm not saying, and maybe because I don't know. I don't know if it has to do. I don't know. It's just they seem to handle academia well and focus on business and minutia finances very well. And And then I would say Caucasians are next. And, there's a lot of difficulties that the Black community has, the Latin American community, and the First Nations. And of course, there's many other cultures that I'm not thinking of, can't recall right now in this moment. But anyways, the winner is clear who won from past battles, if history is to be believed. And we can't bank civilization on shoulda, woulda, coulda. And if there's a battle going on now, if somebody wants to have a battle now, I mean, clearly the Marxists, the communists, are attacking the United States right now. They are attacking the American people. Then it's a battle. Like, okay, so there's this battle right now, and you know what? You know who's behind that battle? It's probably the Chinese Communist Party. It's the Marxists. And what the nationality of those people? It's the Chinese people, and I believe Marxists tend to be elite white people. So those are the people who are going to be the winner. It's not going to be Black people that are going to be in charge. It's not going to be First Nations people that are going to be in charge should the Chinese Communist Party win, folks. So get a clue, Marxists, like, because this Marxist communist thing is not. It's not here to help the general masses, and they're like, we're not in a fairy tale, and just because of certain ideal fantasies you can have in your head, it's not reality. Like, if a war was fought, winner takes the loot, and that's what's happened. And whoever wins this next war, that's what will happen. And no amount of fantasizing or rationalizing is going to change the facts. And I just wanted to point out too, again, if the Native American culture believes they don't own property, they didn't own property, they didn't own the land, they didn't own the land. So deal with it. And I think First Nations people culture has, and the white people that have idealized First Nations people, they need to accept the kind of like this Buddhist mentality that the Native people didn't believe they owned the land. And when that's the case, when there's this non-ownership mentality, the people who believe in ownership, if they defeat the non-ownership people, that's what happens. And cultures get erased. The non-ownership people can get erased by the materialistic culture, and that is what has happened. And rather than whining and complaining and blaming the materialists for defeating the weaker culture, just accept it. Like, so the materialistic European culture defeated the First Nations people, period. That happened. So what do we do now? Instead of like, oh, this was unfair, like, clearly the past several hundred years, that has not helped the First Nations people. Blaming the white people and being a victim. It is abundantly clear. Just look at American culture. How many Native people do you see in the news, as newscasters, as actors, as musicians, as athletes? How many? You don't see them? I mean, what? Maybe 2-3 people? And I mean, you'll hear somebody say, my great grandmother was, Comanche or something like that. So there's like this 25%, 10%, 2% person who proudly declares their Native heritage. Great, But in terms of the world audience being exposed to American First Nations people, it's very minimal. For some reason, it's like they have been erased, and I do think it's unfortunate. I think all America is a melting pot, or somebody at a talk I was at, talked about a garden salad. So it's not like everybody's melted in together. There are, there's the tomato and there's the onion and there's the romaine lettuce. And so each culture it's distinct and separate, and but they're all in the salad. And anyways, I think every culture is important. And I think every culture, if it's going to survive, needs to be a mature culture. And I think it's time for First Nations, original peoples to grow up. They lost the war. They lost the war. They lost the war. The materialists won the war. And the thing is, if the native culture was, we don't own the land, you can't say I'm a native person and then take the Western mindset, but I own the land. If you're a native person and your culture was, we don't own the land, then you don't own the land. And the materialists that came and took it, that's actually fair. That's because that's war. That's this fallen, earthly, physical, materialist realm that we're in. We are not on heaven. We are not in heaven. So First Nations, original peoples, and the Marxist, communist, liberals that think everything should be fair, that think, oh, the Europeans shouldn't have taken these resources. These Europeans should have been better than me. Because you know what? The Marxist, communist person that hates the West, that hates capitalism, that hates Americans, they have smartphones. They drive cars. They own a home. They go to Bali. They see a chiropractor. They spend money. They get money from the properties that they own, from the rentals and all this, their investments and stuff like that. Like, that is the incredible hypocrisy of this Marxist activist, communist demographic that is trying to destroy the United States. It's like somehow they think that, that somehow that capitalism is bad, even though they are reaping all the leverage and the rewards of capitalism. And so I think everybody needs to grow up. First Nations people need to, like, that was their culture, And if your culture was, we don't own the land, you don't own the land now. I'm sorry. I mean, I know that's horrible. It seems unfair. And you know what? We are in an unfair, horrible world. We are. It's just look around right now. And the thing is, you know what? I don't think Americans are like, ha 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 ha. We're not rubbing it in that horrible things, the Trail of Tears and stuff happened. And you know what? All the people that hate Americans, all the people that hate capitalists, the capitalists and the Americans and the conservatives and the Christians and the believers, they're under attack too. Okay. So stop like, thinking that everybody has this easy, super, like, wonderful path. Everybody's struggling, folks. The Marxist, communist activists that think the rest of us are, on a bed of roses 24/7. We're not. The same horrible abuses that are happening to the most vulnerable demographics, it's happening to the conservatives. It's just different flavors. So anyways, that's my thoughts on that topic, and thanks for listening. God bless.